Good evening, South Asians. Welcome to another episode of Chat South Asia. As usual, today I have a very special guest with me who has been nominated for 2012 Top 25 Canadian Immigrants Award. Let me have the pleasure of introducing Gauri Guha. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let me first congratulate you for this nomination. Can you tell me something briefly what this award means? What is it all about?
Well, this award has been introduced from 2011 for the first time. The Royal Bank of Canada and Canadian Immigrants magazine, in collaboration, they have introduced this award. They are nominating and selecting people who have done certain, they have some achievements in their personal lives.
And contributing something to the
Canadian society. And it's a very fierce competition because people from all over Canada, from different fields, for example, doctors, lawyers, social workers, teachers, you just name it. Everybody from every areas, people have been nominated. So, yes.
We know that, you have a very strong North Indian classical background, as well as you have been giving motivational speeches in the community for various projects and everything. So can you just briefly elaborate what kind of your work out there in Canada?
As you already know, I have two professions.
Yeah.
One is my passion, which is music. And the other one is in the senior management position with the Scotiabank. And along with that, I deliver motivational speeches. And I'm also part of the mentoring partnership programs.
What are these motivational speeches about?
Well, I'm a registered speaker with an organization called Passages to Canada. They basically send us to deliver speeches to the schools, colleges, communities, just to motivate the people who are new in the country.
New immigrants.
New immigrants in the country. Because it is very important that they realize that everybody was in their shoes in one time. Now everybody made according to their initiatives and their desire.
So
to
through
develop.
your experiences as you have gone through during this process of transition, then now that's how we motivate people going. Because South Asia consists of a huge number of people from South Asia do migrate to Canada. So what are the basic situation right there for immigrants from South Asia to Canada? How they are contributing to the Canadian society or their own achievements in the process?
Well, they're doing very well. People, they have done very well in the professional fields, also in the industry. And there have been people who are in the political situations also, like they have been MPs, there have been ministers.
Yeah.
Canada is a land of opportunity. It's a country where they recognize people's quality. And they are acknowledged. So anybody who goes there, if they have their objectives and goals and targets set for success, they become successful because the country helps.
Okay, so it's but right now the global situation as it has changed, if I see the US or Europe, for instance, immigrants, they do hesitate now, right now, keeping Europe or US as an option. But you said that, what is the scenario? Has it been affected in the last few years, whatever changes we have been seeing, the global scenario? Has it changed for Canada also?
Well, Canada is slightly different than Europe and US. Of course, they're not completely out of it. We had, pressure, economical pressure, and we had a downturn of economy all over the world. So Canada was not exempted from that. However, Canadian culture is different than US culture. They're very people focused. Particularly, I can talk about my company. Very people focused. People are not let go of until it's absolutely necessary. Okay. So that way, we feel way more secure and protected. And social services also, Canada has support. Europe, of course, has. US does not have as much as Canada does. So it's a wonderful compromise, if you really ask me, between US, Europe, and Canada. Canada has made it's a beautiful balance that we experience in that country.
Okay. Just let me ask you something in between before I shift to your personal experiences and your contributions. There are a lot of contributions that the Asian community has been giving towards the Canadian society.
Yes.
You have definitely mentioned that.
Yes.
But what do you think, how this experience that you have gathered being abroad from South Asia, out of home, to bring back and share with your homeland, to do something for your homeland itself? What are the kind of thing it can be done? Do you ever thought of that?
Yes, actually, since I come every year, I observe a lot of things very carefully and I analyze in my mind. I think it is a wonderful opportunity. Say, for example, even motivational speaking, so far that is concerned, I think we have a wonderful opportunity right now. Sometimes it makes me encourage that I should be here for a longer period of time and get involved in that field. Being a woman at the same time being abroad for a long period of time, and I've been in other countries as well. So, and I've been in the workforce. So all the skills, the soft skills, and the other things that I have acquired over the years, I think I can make a huge contribution in here, and I really want to do. The other day I was going to Jaipur, and I looked at there was a board at the airport where I found somebody has put an ad for the seminars, like motivational seminars. And I noted down that number. I think I'm going to contact that gentleman because I really want to do this kind of work.
Your contributions are something from your experience you can bring back to homeland.
Yeah.
Just moving on, because you started once, when you started your career, first you were sent to South America, if I'm not wrong.
You are absolutely
right. For the
right.
cultural ambassador. So there from you started from there. Your experience in probably Jamaican and other islands, you were there. So what was it? How was the journey like? You have seen so many, you have traveled a lot, being a woman belonging to South Asia and going to these countries. What is your experience like? Has it changed? Have you seen the changes? You have witnessed a lot of changes probably.
Yeah, there have been changes, but the thing is, this experience is incredible. It's priceless because you deal with people. People are not different, People are people. If you deal with them with respect and you learn every step of the way, that is the most challenging and most entertaining and enjoyable part in any job. Because job is a job. I mean, everybody will go and do the job, but when you interact with people, that's where your challenges are. And if you know how, then you can really motivate them and you get somewhere along with them. So it's all win-win situation,
I want to something just came in my mind, in the past 1 year, if you see, we have been, if you're just considering non-residential Indians, be it in Australia, be in European countries, there have been instances of a lot of violence or, abused reported in the media, in the mainstream media. And that has somewhere at time to time, it bettered the diplomatic relationships also, it has hampered it. So what are the basic root cause and how to avoid it? How do you feel?
Well, I went to Canada actually this March, I will complete 30 years in Canada. It's a long period of time, yeah. But again, I have to say that Canada is very tolerant, and Canada has been a country for immigrants anyway. So we have their Human Rights Commission and their multiculturalism very strong. So we do not encourage, the government does not encourage any kind of that racial violence, but there will be on and off. It happens even in our country, right? So it is very well managed in Canada. And even in US, because my daughter lives in US, in 30 years, I never experienced any kind of...
But tell me something. If I talk of the people are not regulated by, in the ground level. Policies don't matter. It's the people. It's their attitude.
Right.
When the people, there's people-to-people contact. There are cultural differences. I understand. They're all coming from different backgrounds, and there's a different background. Adjustment, adaptability, they do matter. But what are the things that actually trigger? Are these like, these are being hyped by media, these instances, small sporadic instances hyped by media, or it's there, sometimes it comes out in the media? How's it?
Okay. I think you have asked me a very, very important question. The thing is, say, for example, something happened directly with you. It is your responsibility to bring it up front. And as I said, in Canada, if you want to go as far as you want to, the government will support you.
The institution will always be the state, and the institution will always support
They
you.
will support you only provided you bring it to their attention. And there has to be a case. I mean, if you are overly sensitive, nothing happened and you thought that something happened,
True.
definitely nobody is going to support you.
True.
But if there is legitimate reason for something and you tried to resolve it and didn't get resolved, of course, you have there is the escalation procedures. But before you do that, you do some introspection and ask yourself, is it because I'm sensitive or is it because something really did happen?
True. We'll just shift to other part of your passion, music. But before that, we'll talk about music, and we'll definitely love to listen to some of your performance also. But before that, we'll take a short break and come back and talk more with Gauri Guha. Welcome back to Chat South Asia, and we are in conversation with Gauri Guha. Just before going to the break, we were talking of some of your projects, and there was mentoring partnership project also that you're involved with. So
Right.
what is it all about?
Okay, mentoring partnership program, Scotiabank does with a company called Triac.
Okay.
What they do, they get in touch with new immigrants, and then they prepare them to be able to get a suitable job in their, relative fields. So, I am being in the banking industry. This is the third year that I have been doing this. I'm a part of mentoring partnership program. So, what happened? They send me some resumes of the people who are in the similar industry.
Okay.
Maybe they came from India, China, regardless.
Okay.
It could be from even Europe, anywhere. But
Okay.
then,
But predominantly probably South Asia and China probably is the most number of people that migrate.
yeah, actually, Canada, we have immigrants from all over the world.
Okay. Carry
So
on.
they come, and then, regardless of their education or experiences, they need to become a part of the, part of the society, which only can happen by interacting with people. And so we are the people who are guiding them
to blend into the larger part of the society.
blend into the workforce and the society, basically. So first time I got a girl who was from Bombay, and then she was also from, I think she used to work with ICICI Bank.
Okay, some private bank out here.
Yeah, right here. So then she used to meet with me every month. Our duration used to be about 7 to 8 hours per month, and it was for about 4 to 5 months together.
Okay.
Our job was not to find a job for her. Our job was to prepare her to find a job.
Sure.
Yes. So what kind of interview question? Resume. How do you write your resume? How do you dress? How do you develop your soft skills? How do you develop your communication skills? Because if you have the qualification, regardless in which field, you can very easily understand and adapt to the, the same field somewhere else. However, your communication skills, your interpersonal skills is what will sell you for the job.
That what matters, the first,
Yes.
how to interact.
Absolutely. Right. So those are the things I thoroughly enjoyed it. And that year, I was even nominated for the Mentor of the Year, 2009.
Oh, that's awesome. But tell me something. It's like, I assume that, when you enjoy so much, these kind of sessions, you're mentoring people and you're motivating them, But at the same time, I guess you get also a feedback also.
Absolutely.
How does it matter? It's like both ways, motivation?
Absolutely, yes. Because you
so
see,
what motivates you in these sessions?
What motivates me is that I'm making a difference in people's life. That's what is the most important thing I feel. At the end of the day, I evaluate myself, what my achievements are and what my contributions are. Achievements are for myself and contributions are for the people. Even I make a slightest difference in somebody's life, I think that is priceless. And that's what motivates me. And when I'm demonstrating or when I'm talking to people, they're looking up to me. So I have to stay there so that I can develop myself further, because their respect, I have earned it, and I have to keep it, right?
So isn't this a very tough thing, to just maintain that level? Sometimes the expectations keep growing, whenever you're in such a level, but people expect something from you. So I'm assuming it's not a very easy task for you.
It's not easy, but you know what? Life is very simple if you keep it that way. We unnecessarily make it complex. Your genuineness, your simplicity, that's what actually by which you can win people's heart.
True.
They trust you when they see that you are not making any effort. It is spontaneously flowing through you. So if you really ask me, no. But I have to say that my music has helped me in that areas.
So coming back to your music, that's a vital part of your what makes
my
you,
life,
what grows you actually.
Yes.
So tell me how it started, because you started your initial learning in music starting from India only,
yes,
right?
Yes,
and
always. My
so
training is still in India.
How was it? How did it? Just briefly.
Well, I started learning with Pandit A. Kannan long time back. And after that, I learned with Malvika Kannan. And because twice I came here with fellowship from Shastri Indo-Kenyan Institute, and I studied with them. And when Guruji was really getting, old and he didn't have that kind of energy, then with his permission, I went to Pandit Ajay Chakravarti.
Okay.
So
and whom you're right now you're
I'm
following?
still learning from him. Yeah, the learning will never stop.
That's true.
So music was initiated at a very early age in my life, but I cannot visualize my existence without it. And what happens, many times people ask me, how do you balance, how do you make your banking industry and music work together? But I personally feel that it is a wonderful balance. The concentration of mind, the centering of your mind, or the peace that you acquire through music, I carry it over to my other profession. And other skills that I have learned or have been learning, like communication, leadership, stress management, all of those, I can bring back to my music, because music, when you really do it professionally, it is a business again. So you have to interact with people.
This brings me, probably in 2007, you participated in the Indo Jazz Festival, and you
Yes.
You did give a speech on spirituality of music.
Yes,
so
I
what
did.
is for you spirituality of music is? Just what you're explaining, or
yes,
something?
Yes, a peace of mind. Spirituality is, in my own term, is connecting with whoever you believe in. And that spirituality can only come from concentration of your mind. And in return, you get peace of mind. Whatever that you believe in is true or not, that is not in question. But you believe it. That's what is important.
Before we continue with more discussions, can we have just a small composition from you?
Okay, sure. What I'll do, since as you can see, the situation is not really friendly for
I understand.
for performance. So what I can do, I can give you some samples of some compositions.
Sure,
okay, they're beautiful compositions.
Would love to.
Now I'm going to sing a rare composition of Pandit S.N. Ratan Shankar in Rag Jhinjhuti. Okay, you notice that the song starts from the second beat in 16 beats rhythmic cycle.
Okay.
Tintal.
Okay.
मेरो मन सखी हरले सावरिया रे मेरो मन सखी हरले सावरिया रे सुंदर सुरत रंग भरी चित चढ़ी सुधा बुध सब बिसर गई सारी मेरो मन सखी हरले सावरिया रे मेरो मन सखी हरले सावरी सोमत जगत मन लाग रखत नित सोमत जगत मन लाग रखत नित कछु नहीं मोहे अब सूझ बूझ आज लाज सखी मैं भाई बाके चरणन की चेरी मेरो मन सखी घरनी सावरिया रे सुंदर सुरत तरंग भरी चित चढ़ी सुधा बुध सब बिसर गई सारी मेरो मन सखी घरनी सावरिया रे सावरिया रे सावरिया रे
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you still, in the long run, do you want to take music when you're still learning? There's no end to learning, but
Right.
you're also trying to contribute what if you learned about music to the younger generation?
Yes.
That's how you want to do it.
Well, I do teach very limited students. Plus, I do workshops every year. Like on my way back, I'll be stopping in Europe. I'll be in Cologne. Then I'll go to Paris, and then I'll go to Belgium. I come to Belgium every year, at least once, maybe twice. In last September, I was in Berlin and Belgium. I do workshops. I teach, and one time I was a part of a seminar. What is that? Europe's largest dance and music seminar, where everybody, teachers and students, they moved into a building. It's a school, and music was 24/7, pretty much you can say. So I do teach, but since I perform extensively, I do not want to spend, I mean, only limited time I can spend in teaching. But I have a plan that there will be time that when the performance will reduce, then I will devote my time to teach and do lecture demonstrations. And this is very interesting, like whenever I do in Europe particularly, the students are so enthusiastic. They want to know, they want to learn. So that is definitely one of my projects for future, to do it even more extensively.
Even like, even we know many people, like the younger generation,
Right.
In Canada or US or Europe, they've migrated long back, probably they're the
Right.
third generation or second
Yeah,
generation living
yeah.
there. They also somewhere being away from home, they want to know about their grassroots, their culture. So how is the response, Are they aloof from it, or they are eager to do it?
Well, when they're very young, there was a time when I used to teach about 55, 60 students when I first went to Canada.
Asian students? Okay.
Asian and even
Okay.
from Canadian, white children. But the thing is, the parents are very keen, because parents want their children to learn at least something. So they used to bring them, and some of them were being dragged. But you see, the people who are being dragged, definitely they will stop when they can exert their rights. But the people who still wanted to do sometimes cannot continue on because of their education, and when they go to the university and they move away from home and they have to look after everything, and sometimes they work during the day, it sometimes discontinue. But the liking is there, they want to do, but as long as they even listen to good music, that's all we can expect from them. But definitely when they're young, parents try really, really hard.
Okay, so talking of that, you are traveling extensively throughout the globe. You're contributing as a community to the Asian community as well as the larger society in Canada. As a South Asian, how do you see this? Today when we have talk of globalization, it's not a new thing anymore.
Right.
This whole last decade has seen all, and we have seen how simple incidents, events trickle down, and it's always affect all the region. South Asia is not spared also. If something happens in Europe,
Definitely.
it will definitely
Oh,
fall.
yes.
How do you see, because you have always interacted with people, people to people contact,
Yes,
you have the
yes,
opportunity to do
yes.
that. So how do you see, is like we talk of global village, or those are now no more a new concept. But how do you see that people's blend together, without borders, without nationalities? When we just talk of people to people, how do you see the world?
Well,
In the future, probably.
for the younger generation, the barriers are not that big or hard, it is only for the first generation who had the most difficulties accepting and the other culture or other type of foods or anything new was harder for them to adapt to. But the younger generation, they're marrying, the marriages are going between, you know, Asian and whites and black. So I don't think they feel that those people are any different than we are, because they're pretty much raised with them. So they're very well blended. And the parents are adapting to it when they're marrying, so they don't have much of a choice. They might start a lot of, you know, commotion in the house, but at the end of the day, they're their children, right? So whoever they marry, they have to adapt them. And after adapting those people, they're realizing it's not that big a deal. As I said, people are people. If you treat them with compassion and love and your respect, they will, you know, give you the same thing. But if you stay away, naturally.
We have almost reached the end of this conversation, you know, let's say because of limited time. But I want to ask you something, you know.
Yes.
Being an Asian or South Asian, if I say, you have learned your basic education and everything. You started from here, and then you have grown, and now you have contributing a lot, not only to the to your own growth, but you have also done something for the society or community you're living in. As a South Asian at heart, you know, if you see when you come back every year, when you come back to South Asia, what do you think? It's South Asia is moving ahead definitely, but what do you think that certain areas which have not developed or needs to be taken care of? How do you see that? Back home, what do you want to do, or something need to be done, or that's missing out probably?
Well, what I can say in here is this: education-wise, nobody can compete us. We are doing very well. I mean, I'm talking about Indians in India or anywhere else. But the thing people should be focusing on is people's skills, life skills. I mean, those are the most important thing. Like, you know, you could be book smart, but you need to be street smart, when you can combine both. So when you're competing, you're going to the multinational companies or you're going abroad. So if you can add this thing as a routine, as a discipline in the school, I think our opportunities would be even further more, because we'll be able to stand up and we'll be able to outshine a lot of people. But the social skills, in many cases, I'm sure you might have also noticed, the social skills, which is one of the most important areas that we should focus on to compete globally.
With this, actually, we have come to the end of this conversation. It's a very limited time, but thank you. Thanks a lot for joining us in the studio, Gauri Guha, and wish you all the best for your future endeavors. But before we end, we'd love to hear from you one more number, if you could.
Sure, thanks. This time I want to sing a composition in Rag Bhatiyar, which is a morning raga.
Okay.
This is a composition of Ustad Ghulam Ali Khan Sahab. मैं तो तेरो नाम जपता हूँ, मैं तो तेरो नाम जपता हूँ, निस दिन आला, निस दिन आला, तू सबको पालन हारा, मैं तो तेरो नाम जपता हूँ, मैं तो तेरो नाम जपता हूँ, निस दिन आला, निस दिन आला, तू सबको पालन हारा, मैं तो तेरो नाम जपता हूँ, तेरो नाम गुणगार तू मालिक मेरो, सब रंग करत भगतन हारा, मैं तो तेरो नाम जपता हूँ, मैं तो तेरो नाम तो तेरा नाम, मैं तो तेरा नाम, मैं तो तेरा नाम जप